Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Sofa Sessions. And today we are in Toronto hanging out with the amazing brothers, Sahil K and Sawan K. We are going to head up to Karma Music and you can experience an incredible night of Sufi music, fusion music, and just good South Asian music. So follow me. Let's go upstairs. Let's get the show started. Whoa!
Hello!
How are you? Thank you for having us
Of
in the
course.
studio, brother.
Come in. Wow.
What's going on, guys? This is Sahil K and Sawan K. Together, we're Karma Productions, and we're based out in Toronto.
प्रीत की लत मोहे ऐसी लागी हो गई मैं मतवारी बल बल जाऊं मैं अपने पिया को मैं तो जाऊं वारी वारी मोहे सुध बुध रही ना अपने मन की ये तो जाने दुनिया सारी बेबस और लाचार फिरूं मैं हारी मैं हारी तेरे नाम से जी लूं तेरे नाम से मर जाऊं तेरे नाम से जी लूं तेरे नाम से मर जाऊं तेरी जान के सदके में कुछ ऐसा कर जाऊं तूने क्या कर डाला मर गई मैं मिट गई मैं हो जी हाँ जी हो गई मैं तेरी दीवानी दीवानी तेरी दीवानी दीवानी तूने क्या कर डाला मर गई मैं मिट गई मैं हो जी हाँ जी हो गई मैं तेरी दीवानी दीवानी तेरी दीवानी दीवानी
For a year, I depended on my disability benefits. When the insurance company cut me off, they were basically calling me a liar. They wouldn't even listen to my doctor. But then I called Share Lawyers. I got my benefits, and the Share team was kind, respectful, and supportive. And that's how it should be. The reviews are real. If you've been denied your long-term disability benefits, Share is there. Call Share Lawyers, 888-225-9020.
Welcome back. We're excited to get to know the gents behind the music that you were just listening to. And we are in Karma Music. And we are in Toronto. And excited to meet the music duo that's been putting on this fantastic presentation. So guys, thank you for being part of Sofa Sessions and introduce yourselves.
Thank you for having us, first of all. I'm Sahil K.
So my name is Sawan K.
Sawan K, Sahil K,
Yes.
your brothers.
Yeah, we're brothers.
Right.
And we're partners in Karma Productions. Everything
Man,
Karma.
oh man. Tell me about the name. Where did you come up with Karma Productions?
Karma in general, I truly do believe in karma. So, that's where it came from. Also, my grandfather's name was Karam.
Ah, okay.
And his nickname was Karma.
Okay.
And we decided to use his name. And then that's how it came together.
That's fantastic,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Now, I've met a lot of amazing musicians, but typically family of musicians don't have the same harmony you guys do. How does music start in your lives? Who got into pulling it to the other person?
I think since I was born first, so
Yeah.
it would
Yeah,
have to be me.
I'm giving that one too.
Since childhood, I think I was just into music and just involved in music. Music meant everything. All my toys were music related. Like I had these little keyboards and
Right.
like, so it was an interest from day one. I think then you came along and then you kind of saw the same thing.
Inspired by Big Bro?
Yeah, I think so, but I feel like I was never feeling like that. I didn't grow up like really being obsessed with like having toys, musical toys. That was not my thing at all. But I always saw Sahil doing it, and then later in life when I wanted to do something else with my life, I realized that the family was, gonna pull me back into music, and so
Is there
Now we're
other folks
here.
in your family that are in the music business?
Not really. We're like my parents' generation, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we're starting it now where it's like
Yeah.
that. My grandfather was into music. Yeah. So
well, it
that's where we
skips
got
a
the inspiration.
generation, as they say, right? So,
Yeah.
They're just saying that anything that's creative, it skips a generation. So I guess
Is that what it is? No.
There's a
'cause
saying.
Listen, I've been doing music with DESIFEST, as you guys know, for 16 years
Yeah.
now. And my immediate parents that immigrated are very, very technical, like engineering, science, etc.
Okay.
And so when I started to get into DJing and I started getting into entrepreneurship, but even being on stage, there was a complete disconnect because there was nobody like me that I saw.
Right.
So for the longest time, I was like, where is this coming from?
Right.
I'm not adopted. This
Yeah.
is my real family. So where is this coming from? And did you guys go down that discovery to see where this part of yours is coming from?
I honestly, I knew that it came from my grandfather's side because he was involved in music so much. And even I think the first time I kind of touched a harmonium was with him there. So he was always practicing in the house and so that's where it came from. Definitely. I knew like that's where it's from.
Yeah.
Even the parents knew like, okay, yeah, that's where it's coming from.
That's
So
incredible,
I never really
man.
questioned it. It was just like people say like, when did you pick up music? I can't remember because it's always just been my normal. So that's sort of my story. I don't know about you.
I guess my story is a little bit different, but like I said, like the family was so musical. So even when I was trying to do other things, I was still involved in music all the time.
Right.
But now it's just like actually trying to do it.
Yeah.
So-
Do you remember your first show, presentation? What age? What did you do?
In school a lot. We were in bands and like we're like recitals all the time, but like professionally probably like as soon as I left high school I was in musical all the time. We were working on tracks right when I was out of there. So
That's incredible, man. What about you? Do you remember your first performance?
It would have to be school because I was in like, I think like grade 3 or 4. I was in choir. I was in like the like band, drama. So I was always in the arts from day one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely choir. Like I remember being a choir boy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man.
जाने खुदा मेहरमा तेरे सिवा कौन मेरा है कदी ना हूँ मैं जुदा तोड़ी ना प्यार मेरा जानिया हानिया जानिया हानिया तुम्हें सिख कदी दुख सुख फौलना तेरे बिन नहीं लगदा दिल मेरा टोलना है तेरे बिन नहीं लगदा दिल मेरा टोलना तेरे बिन नहीं लगदा दिल मेरा टोलना है तेरे बिन नहीं लगदा दिल मेरा टोलना हो पुछ काले बदला तो सीने विच अग ला के लंघ गईयां कई बरसातां ਆਇਆ ਆਏ ਪੁੱਛ ਕਾਲੇ ਬਦਲਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਸੀਨੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅੱਗ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਲੰਘ ਗਈਆਂ ਕਈ ਬਰਸਾਤਾਂ ਤੁਰ ਗਇਓ ਸਜਣਾ ਨੀਂਦਰਾਂ ਖੋ ਕੇ ਅਸਾਂ ਜਾਗ ਕੇ ਕਟਿਆ ਰਾਤਾਂ ਆ ਵੀ ਜਾਣਾ ਸਤਾ ਵਾਸਤਾ ਪਿਆਰ ਦਾ ਇਹ ਰੁੱਤਾਂ ਸੋਹਣੀਆਂ ਮੁੜ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਣੀਆਂ ਤੇਰੇ ਬਿਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਦਿਲ ਮੇਰਾ ਢੋਲਣਾ ਹੈ ਤੇਰੇ ਬਿਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਦਿਲ ਮੇਰਾ ਢੋਲਣਾ ਤੇਰੇ ਬਿਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਦਿਲ ਮੇਰਾ ਢੋਲਣਾ ਹੈ ਤੇਰੇ ਬਿਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਦਿਲ ਮੇਰਾ ਢੋਲਣਾ
Let's talk a little bit about your training.
Okay, so my Guruji, Ustad Sardul Sikandar, I started officially learning from him, and everything, I would say everything that I do know, everything I am, it's because of him. And unfortunately, he passed away last year during the pandemic. But it's everything that you hear, everything that we say, anything that's positive in my life, it's because of him and his
That's
blessing.
incredible.
Yeah.
Where is home base for you guys?
We're from Hoshiarpur, Punjab.
Okay.
That's like,
And
that's the home base.
I'm assuming music there is a whole different level from a culture, just being rooted in it. Now you sing.
Yeah.
We haven't heard you sing. Or do you sing?
I don't sing, this is crazy that you just said this, because for the first time in my life, I just told my brother that I wanted to get into singing at some point.
On the drive here.
On the drive here
Oh my
today.
gosh.
My entire life, I've never said that. So I think it's less of me trying to, pursue the artistry of being a singer, and more of, how can I make my music better and see that side of the world as well, And I think it would, just kind of like bring me closer to his world, and, we can kind of work off of that energy as well.
I like to think it's because he was on stage at DESIFEST. He was inspired to sing, but that's a different story. You play a bunch of different instruments?
Yeah, I try to play everything I can get my hands on.
Right. What's your favorite jam out?
Saxophone, most definitely. That's like my thing. So I always started with the sax, but I love playing keys, guitars, basses, everything now.
That's amazing, man. One of the things we do on this show is to learn a little bit about what it's like being a musician or an artist, but also what's unique about the Canadian ecosystem, right? Because it's different than the US market, it's different than the Indian market. From your expertise, sort of, you're producing your own content.
Right.
You're also working with other Canadian artists. Is there a Canadian Desi sound?
I don't know. I think it's very different for the artist. There is like a general sound, just because like time-wise, the market, that's how it changes. Listening changes, and like people's listening patterns, they change. But every artist has their sort of specific sound. Like if I was to shrink my sound into something, it would be, my sound reflects how I am. It's Desi, but brought up here, born back home. And then learning the Sufism of singing, or Qawwali style, and then kind of presenting it in a new light of Western. I think that's my sound. It could be different for any other artist, right? But specifically for me, I think it's me, because that represents me.
Right.
Someone who's super Desi, but like brought up here.
What about you?
Artists.
I would say the same, because generally I feel like you said, the great relationship we have together is because we are different, actually. We got into music different, we learned different. I think that it really brings in a fusion, like we spoke about earlier, between that Indian side and that Western side. And so I think that our biggest goal is to fuse that and have our own unique sound.
Right.
And if that becomes the Desi Canadian sound, then
That's
I'm not
amazing.
going to complain.
Yeah, no,
so,
why not?
Yeah.
ਸੁਣੋ ਇੱਕ ਪਿਆਰ ਦੀ ਐ ਦਾਸਤਾਂ ਇੱਕੋ ਤੱਕਣੀ ਚ ਲੈ ਗਈ ਮੇਰਾ ਦਿਲ ਤੇ ਜਾ ਡਰੋਪ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਸੀ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਮਨ ਮੇਰਾ ਵੀ ਖਿਆਲਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਖੋ ਗਿਆ ਕਿਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਉਹਦੀਆਂ ਅਦਾਵਾਂ ਨੇ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਬੁੱਲੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਟਾਲ ਸੈਨੋਰੀਤਾ ਤੇਰੀ ਚਾਲ मैनू लगदी कमाल हाय मुंडे कीते कमले तेरी जुल्फां दा जाल सेन्योरिता तेरी चाल 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 मैनू लगदी कमाल हाय मुंडे कीते कमले तेरी जुल्फां दा जाल सोन परी या तू जल परी आतिश या तू फुल चढ़ी एंजल है या तू है परी या हुडीनी दी कोई जादूगरी रहंदा तेरा ही ख्याल हर पल मेरे नाल ऐसा पाया कि तू जान सेन्योरिता तेरी चाल मैनू लगदी कमाल हाय मुंडे कीते कमले तेरी जुल्फां दा जाल
You know what? Because one of the things with developing markets in music specifically, right? Because I've been doing DESIFEST for 16 years, and I've seen decade over decade how much the sound becomes our own. We're not trying to sound like the UK. We're not trying to be another. But I also wonder how much experimentation happens because it takes a special sort of bravery, courage to go, hey, this is what you know me for. Sufi meets urban meets horns, but then I'm gonna do something different. Like you guys have a track coming out, right? So what's the process when you start thinking about, I wanna do something different, I wanna do something experimental. How do you start to think about, music in that context?
For me, because I tend to write a lot too, that inspiration comes from like just listening to all kinds of music from around the world. I don't discriminate. Any kind of culture, any kind of music. I think if you need to know a culture, you either try their food or you listen to their music. That is the best way of learning different cultures. And that's me. If you go through my playlists on anything, there's no pattern.
Yeah.
It's from all over the world. Anything I hear that I like, I try to take what I can from it, get inspired. Like for example, Senorita. If you minus the vocals out of it, it sounds like a Spanish song. And that's what we were going for when I wrote, Senorita, we composed it. We needed Spanish guitars, we needed horns, that Spanish vibe. So that's sort of my take on it, where it's like, that's where I draw like the inspiration from,
What about you?
I would say the same. Listening to a lot of different types of music, different cultures, and just appreciating everything that's around you. I feel like I recently read something about, artists need time to just do nothing. And I feel like I'm terrible at that because I'm constantly in the studio and I'm just constantly doing stuff. But I feel like, going out to experience the world, being a sponge and, really soaking up everything and then coming back into the studio and then, ringing it out is really kind of how we like to try to make our music. And we kind of had this goal to, go into this kind of Spanish realm. And so we were listening to a lot of Spanish music, kind of experimenting with the types of sound we were going for.
No, I love that, man. And, you guys are going to do some magical things in your career. I can already see it. But in the amount of time you've already invested in industry, what are some of your favorite moments of what you've accomplished?
Well, we just did DESIFEST.
I was just going to say that.
Interview over.
I was just going to say that.
Interview's over. That's it. Mic drop.
Roll credits. Roll credits. For me, though, I feel like I'm constantly chasing that feeling. Like, if you were to ask me 5 years ago, it would be to do music for a living. And now I'm doing that.
Nice.
But I still don't feel like it's enough. You know what I mean? Now we move over to the next step and the next step. So I'm constantly chasing this concept of success. Like I'm achieving my goals, thank you for that. But it's always changing. I'm never like settling. I think the day I do feel like I'm successful, it's going to be the day where I can be like, okay, I'm done. Like there's nowhere to go from here.
I would say the same. I feel like sometimes we will put out a song and then we're in here the next day doing the next thing right away.
Right.
It's just sometimes we can't help it. That's how simple it is, I think. You know what I mean? But I just spoke about DESIFEST. I had the best time playing at DESIFEST.
It was a blast.
That was probably one of our best shows this entire summer. I think we performed Senorita there. So like you said, experimenting, and the crowd was loving that song, and that's when the next day we were in here making that song better and better.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. And I think one of the things we try to, show during DESIFEST is as much as you guys are artists, you're also entrepreneurs in music, right? So if you could go back in time and along with the skill sets in singing and instrumentation, what else would you have invested in from the business of music?
Wow, I think I would spend a little more time in learning the business side of things because that's something that I lacked from day one.
Yeah.
It's now I realize that it is important. Again, never too late to start something.
Yeah.
But if I was to change anything in the past, it would be to, as you're focusing on, like for me, for the singing side, like vocal practice, learning the techniques, you also need to focus more on like the business side of things and marketing and how to, like you can make a great track, but how do you put it out there? How do you make it reach the right kind of people?
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, I think like a big portion of something that we do lease is networking, and I think that's probably one of the biggest things for us. But because we're in the studio all the time, and we're constantly so focused on making this music, and we're so obsessed with making this music, and that's where we have like the most fun with it. I feel like the networking side is something that we would have probably kind of started.
I can't remember who said it. I think it was Nipsey or Diddy, but somebody was like, every musician should hire a CEO. Because that's not your job to be the CEO, but you need a CEO because you can't do it all. And it's always stuck with me because I've been in the startup game for forever, and I never really understood the other side. And then even for DESIFEST, once we decided to hire somebody to actually run the program, I'm like, oh wow, then I get to be creative, knowing all the other things are happening. And so last question for you guys, because the music industry is really hard to get into. Before, when you knew you had the outlets, the DJs, and but now with the internet, it's all over the place. It's extremely saturated. So if there's a young person out there who's like, I want to sing, I want to produce, I want to make music, but man, it's so noisy. Who cares? And not even try. What do we tell them?
What was that saying where it's like you miss
100% of the shots that
you don't take, right? So you never know. Yeah, it could be very saturated. That we know the market's saturated, but if you truly do want to achieve something, right now it's so easy because you have everything at the fingertips. Literally, you can make a video, you can create a free account on YouTube or any other outlet. Put it out there. And here's another thing. I would ask that person, what's your main purpose of actually creating music? Is it to do good music? That's your main purpose, is to create good art? Or is it to be known? Right? So there's two different aspects to it. Because some people are just happy and content with just making good music, showing it to their friends, amazing. They're fulfilled. But there's another aspect like marketing, or is your end goal to be known by people or to perform or in front of crowds, So depending on that, but like step one would just be to do your art, put it out there. There's so many outlets.
Do your art. Do your art is definitely it. Like, and I would say that almost embrace what makes you different. I think so many times, even I think when we were starting out, we were feeling like, how do we make our music sound like what's being played on the radio? Because that's what will put us on the radio. When realistically, I think that difference and that uniqueness is what we really value now. And I think that's something we were really doubling down into. And from the last couple of releases, we found a lot of good success from it, a lot of good engagement. And so I would say embrace what makes you unique, embrace what makes you different, and then just double down into your art.
I love that, man. Embrace what makes you unique and what makes you different. And it's not to isolate. It's when you're unique and different, you're really saying, this is my voice, this is my craft. And that becomes very inclusive because so much of us try to fit in all the time. And so Sawan, Sahil, the brothers, what a great, great conversation. And please stay tuned for more Sofa Sessions coming up. And we'll be right back.
तेरे नाम दिल दी ज़मीन वे ओवे प्यार दी ना मेरे तो हीन वे जाम दीने करा तेरी यादों आवा मैं घूमे चारे पासे मुखड़ा हसीन वे कोसी कोसी तलियां ने लंघे दियां गलियां ने पुछ दियां रात तेरा अखियां भी रुलियां ना मिलदा सिला इस गल ते गिला मेरी मन के रब्बा मेरा यार मेरा दीदार होवे उस नाज़नीन दे दीदार होवे उस नाज़नीन दे सजदा करा मैं आमीन वे हो सजदा करा मैं आमीन वे सजदा करा मैं आमीन वे तेरा सजदा करा मैं आमीन वे लिखदा रहा तेरी याद विच गीत वे लिख लिख रोवा याद आउंदे ने ये गीत वे सजदे च जावां तेरा नाम रहिंदा लभदा तेरे नाल होवे सारा वक्त बतीत वे सामने होए को चोए सुरमाए यादा पिजियां ते बारिशां च रंग गोरे लाए किवें बदली हवा केड़े भुल आए होई सजदे च मेरी मकबूल दुआ इलाही तेरी रहमत रंगीन वे इलाही तेरी रहमत रंगीन वे सजदा करा मैं आमीन वे हो सजदा करा मैं आमीन वे सजदा करा मैं आमीन वे तेरा सजदा करा मैं आमीन वे
For a year, I depended on my disability benefits. When the insurance company cut me off, they were basically calling me a liar. They wouldn't even listen to my doctor. But then I called Share Lawyers. I got my benefits, and the Share team was kind, respectful, and supportive. And that's how it should be. The reviews are real. If you've been denied your long-term disability benefits, Share is there. Call Share Lawyers, 888-225-9020.
So for this episode, I was inspired by the fusion and the Qawwali and the Sufi music that you guys heard. And we tried to find the best way to end this thing. And of course, somebody on our team, you guys already know, Miss Soni, went and found the most amazing, I'm going to mess it up, Keto, a.k.a. Kately. Kately. Okay, I'm learning something, people. And if you got kids watching the show, we educate.
Yes.
So we made some incredible beverage on the way out. Fellas, let's cheers out as we close the show. Thank you so much for being on the show. And of course, this is just the beginning because you're going to see more and more of these gentlemen as they create more and more music. And they also produce other incredible artists. So look out for a lot of those collaborations. It's been our pleasure. Thank you for inviting us into your studio home.
Of course.
Cheers for a great episode.
Cheers.
All right, guys. We'll see you on the next episode. Cheers.
Cheers.
Señorita तेरी चाल मैनू लगदी कमाल हाय मुंडे कीते कमले